Hello everyone. Thought we'd do something a little different today. There's a bunch of deals going on all across, I guess, retail. And I wanted to talk about some of the fishing deals that you can find online. And this is Tackle Warehouse, and they're having a sale on fishing line. I should say that I'm not sponsored by anyone. I'm not affiliated with anyone. I'm not even monetized on YouTube. I have literally no financial incentive or bias here. I'm just telling you what kind of lines I like, what I actually use, and what's a really good deal. So we'll get into it right now. Clicking on the best deals here. And it brings up some Seaguar line. Seaguar is a really good line. I've had good luck with it. I used a lot of Seaguar Blue Label from 4-pound test all the way up to 80-pound test. I haven't used every single one of their fluorocarbons, but the ones that I've used I've been really happy with. Not much to say other than that. It's a really good stuff, especially if you go and use a lot of leader material. The Red Label, it's kind of a budget fluorocarbon, and it's a little bit stiffer, a little bit coilier. It will also make good leader material. Fireline, especially the crystal, is what I like for ice fishing. It's strong. It knots pretty well. But what I don't like about it is fishing open water. It's noisy through the guides, at least till you break it in. But I just don't like the noise. I'd rather fish a smooth 8-carrier or 9-carrier braid. But it is super tough. It is super strong. Berkley X5 I've used, and I had some break-offs, especially fishing a frog. It didn't seem to be very abrasion resistant, which is what I want, fishing a frog. And that X5 is supposed to cut through weeds better, but in my experience, it just didn't hold up as well as some other braids that I've fished. But what I really like is Berkley X9. In lower pound tests, like 6-pound test in the flame green color, that's what I use on my panfish setups, on my ultralight rods. It's great stuff. And then, I use X9 on 95% of my setups, from, spinning to casting, freshwater, saltwater. Almost all of my reels have X9 braid on them, except I use the low vis green for most of my fishing. And for panfish, I use that bright, it's almost like a fluorescent yellow, not really fluorescent flame green, but 6-pound is good stuff. Trilene 100% fluorocarbon, I've used that. It's nothing all that spectacular, but at the $7.79 price, you could give it a try. It's pretty good stuff. It knots well. It's strong. It runs a little bit thick. I mostly used it for leader material. I think it was 17-pound test that I used. Okay, here's a really good deal that I think a lot of people, might overlook. Berkley Trilene Big Game. It's been around forever, but at $7 for the amount of line you get per spool, I think for the 8-pound test, they give you 1,700 yards of line. It's a ridiculous amount of line. And what I do with it is I use it as backing material. And you will save so much money on more expensive line. Even if you wanted to top it off with, a Seaguar or Sunline fluorocarbon, it's still worth it to put the backing on. And you will save so much line. You'll have to reorder less. It's just so much more convenient to change line. You go down to the backing knot and you can switch it out. The other thing I do with it is I make up rigs for saltwater. So any kind of bottom fishing rigs or leader material for fishing black sea bass or scup or fluke. And I use that in mostly 20, 25, 30-pound tests. I use it for fishing stripers if I'm fishing topwater, even swim bait sometimes on a jig head. I'll use Trilene Big Game just because it's tough, it's cheap. The fish don't seem to be line shy or worry about monofilament versus fluorocarbon leader material most of the time. And it's just great. I can't say enough good things about it. If you're not using it as backing material, I think you're missing out. I mean, the savings are just unreal. And the other thing that backing material does is it keeps the line from spinning around the spool. If you got a slick braid and you try to tie it directly to the spool, sometimes that whole spool will spin when you set the hook. A mono backing will prevent that. The other thing is that braid doesn't breathe very well. So you get the line wet and that moisture will hold against the spool. Sometimes it'll even rust the spool. Trilene XL I've used a ton. It's kind of the gold standard, and they have it in smaller spools now, which make great leader material sizes, or you just want to top off behind some big game backing, you can do that. Trilene XT I use more on bait casters. Vanish, I didn't have good luck with. I had a lot of lures vanish because the line kept breaking, so I can't recommend that. And here we are. This is the X9 in the low vis green, and that's what I use on 90-95% of my setups. Fresh, salt. It's great on spinning gear, 10-pound test, 15, 20-pound. Once you get up to like 30-pound, I prefer it on a bait caster. Gamma is great stuff. I've used it. It tends to be a little bit more expensive. Guggen Squad I haven't used. I can't comment on it. I've used a little bit of P-Line. That's pretty good stuff. Power Pro Super Slick. The version 1 wasn't the best. It started to unravel on me while I was fishing it. Not good. Version 2 is much better. It seems like the unraveling problem has gone away. I still only use it in higher pound tests, like 20-pound and up. And I prefer, if I'm being honest here, I prefer Berkley X9. I prefer Daiwa Grand. And the reason is because the Super Slick part of that's on the label, they're not joking around. This stuff is super slick, and it makes it hard to tie some knots. People that are, a lot of people use this stuff and they complain about breaking off. I think for at least half of them, the knot's slipping out. And so to combat that, you can either double up the line before you tie a knot, you can scrape off that super slick coating with your thumbnail, or you can fish it until it breaks in, and then it's a lot better. So what I do is on one setup, I have 20-pound Power Pro Super Slick in this onyx color, which is black. And it's great, but you do have to, handle it with care. I don't fish a lot of spider wire. I can't comment on that. Stren is been around forever. It's very similar to Trilene. Both are great. I've used a little bit of Suffix line. I mostly use the Suffix ice line for leader material ice fishing, and I think it's based on Suffix Siege. No problems there. The other line that I think is kind of a sleeper besides Berkley Big Game is Yo-Zuri Hybrid. Now this stuff is great, but you definitely have to pay attention to the line thickness and not the listed pound test. So 6-pound Yo-Zuri Hybrid is more like 10-pound fluoro for other brands. It acts a lot like fluoro. It has some other properties that make it a little better than fluoro in the cold. So if you have very, very cold temperatures, it tends to handle a little bit better than pure fluorocarbon. But again, I mostly use it for leader material in the 6-pound and the 12-pound test. The 12-pound isn't as off as the 6-pound in terms of rating. It's more like 14-pound. But both are excellent. Above 12-pound test, though, it gets a little bit coily. You can, help that with line conditioner. There's silicone sprays. There's a product called Tangle Free that'll help with that. But really, I prefer it in those lower pound tests, and then you're not going to have a problem. I can't say enough good things about it. There used to be a Yo-Zuri Hybrid Super Soft, and that was their product aimed at spinning reels. And for that, it wasn't quite as strong as Yo-Zuri Hybrid, but it was a good choice for spinning reels. Yo-Zuri Hybrid, on its own, the original. I don't really like on spinning reels. You can do it, but I would use, 4-pound test, 6-pound test, something like that, and just know that it runs thick. And so the 6-pound is more like 10-pound. But it's really better on casting reels, I would say. And, for me, I really prefer using it as leader material. And for that use, compared to Seaguar or Sunline, you will save so much money. What I do is I order one spool of this when they go on sale in the wintertime, like right now. I have 275 yards of 6-pound Yo-Zuri hybrid. And I use that just like I would for 10-pound fluoro across, all my rigs, Ned rigs, drop shots. I fish with BFS gear. I use that as leader material for a Super Fluke Junior. Pretty much anything that you would do with lighter line, spinning gear, BFS gear, small swim baits, anything like that. It's just great. And since, I started using it, I haven't noticed any decrease in bites compared with straight 100% fluorocarbon. And there's really no downside and all upside. I haven't used a lot of the other Yo-Zuri lines, so I can't really comment there. But that's it. If I see any other deals, I'll do another video like this, another short video just pointing out what I like, what I've used, and what I can recommend. There'll be more of these deals every week. And so if you like this kind of content, give me a like so I know you like it, and I'll try to make some more videos like this. All right, thanks. See ya.